Hello students, welcome to the daily news analysis. I hope you all are doing great. I'm your educator Prithviraj Singh. Let us begin with the important news articles of 14th of March 2022. Guys, the budget session is resuming from 14th of March. You all know that the budget is the first session of the Lok Sabha, right? The first session of the Lok Sabha is called as the budget session, where the finance minister presents the budget, the union budget, right? Now, it is a very big document, right? And it is a constitutional document mentioned under Article 112 of the Indian Constitution, right? Now, there are many stages, if I have to say, there are many stages. I'll just mention here. There are many stages in the budget. Stages in budget. The first stage is definitely the budget presentation. In India, you would be knowing that the budget is being presented on 1st of February by the finance minister. As I said, that it is the estimate of the receipts and expenditure of the government of India in the ensuing financial year. We know that the financial year starts with 1st of April and it ends at 31st of March. Right. So that means the new financial year 2022 is yet to begin, correct? And the budget is being presented right on the 1st February, right? Now, you all know that finance minister presents the budget, and the budget as a document is being published by Ministry of Finance. There is a department under Ministry of Finance called the Department of Economic Affairs, right? And this question has been asked many a times, guys. So please keep a note of this. Department of Economic Affairs presents the budget and the economic survey of the government, and this department works under the finance ministry, right? So on the 1st of February, the budget would be presented by the finance minister. Now here, no voting takes place, just discussions takes place, right? The budget is presented definitely in the Lok Sabha because it is a government document, and from Lok Sabha it goes to Rajya Sabha where it is being discussed, right? Although Rajya Sabha do not have any power to vote on the demands of grants, right? It is exclusive right of the Lok Sabha. I hope it is clear. The second stage is the discussion. After the budget is being presented, it is being discussed in both the houses, Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, without vote, because voting doesn't take place here. The third stage is scrutiny by departmental standing committees. Guys, you all know that the budget is actually the requirement of various ministries of the government, right? It may be the health ministry, education ministry, women and child development ministry, right? And every ministry would be, coming up with their demands. For example, let's say health ministry is asking for 100 crore rupees, women and child development ministry is asking for, let's say, 80 crore rupees, correct? So those demands which are being put forth by in the budget speech, it's called as budget speech, would be scrutinized by the departmental standing committees. Guys, departmental standing committees has members from both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, and and whatever demand of the ministry that is being put forth would be scrutinized, would be assessed, would be analyzed in the departmental standing committees, right? Now, this generally takes around 1 month, right? When the demands which are being put forth in the budget speech are scrutinized in the departmental standing committees, it normally takes around 1 month, one whole month. So it goes around from 1st of February till, let's say, 1st of March, and during this period the parliament is, and normally it happens around 15th to February till 15th of March. Parliament is closed during this time, also technically called as recess time. So parliament is being closed during this time because the demands of the budget are being scrutinized by the departmental standing committees, right? And for the 1 month, for 1 month time period, the parliament is closed, right? And these demands are being scrutinized by the departmental standing committees, correct? Now, after they are being scrutinized, the parliament reopens around 15th of March, right? So today is the 14th of March and the parliament would resume its budget session once the demands are being scrutinized by the departmental standing committees. And here starts the very important stage of the budget, voting. Now voting takes place, right? Now voting is an exclusive right of Lok Sabha. Guys, it's very, very important, because why? Because Lok Sabha is the house of people. It is a directly elected house, and it is only the directly elected members who have the right to vote for the demands, right? So Rajya Sabha cannot vote on the demand for grants, right? Now whatever demand that is being made, if it is being voted upon, it becomes a grant, correct? Let's say Ministry of Health Affairs or Ministry of, let's say, Home Affairs has put forth the demand of, let's say, 100 crore rupees, 100 crore rupees. If it is being voted upon, it would be granted. So the voting on the demands is the exclusive privilege or exclusive right of Lok Sabha, and Rajya Sabha cannot vote on the demand for grants. I hope it is clear. Now once the voting, and here there are many motions which are also being used to actually cut the demand. For example, various cut motions like economic cut motion, policy cut motion, right, token cut, so on and so forth, correct? Now after this is being done, after the demands are being granted, then comes the stage where appropriation act is being passed by the Lok Sabha, right? So whatever demand that is being accepted, right, that is being granted, can be withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund of India, which is the public exchequer, and it becomes an act when the president signs it, right? So the budget is, whatever money that is being sanctioned in the budget can be withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund of India after the passage of the Appropriation Act. And the last stage in the budget enactment is the passage of finance bill, right, where the taxation demands of the budget are being passed in the Lok Sabha, correct? So these are the stages in the enactment of the budget, right? So it normally takes here the parliament, as I said, the parliament resumes by 15th of March, and in the till the last stage is being completed, that is the passage of the finance bill, it normally goes up till 30th April. By this time the financial year has, or not only 30th April, my bad, it should be instead around 15th of May. So it takes the time of till around 15th of May, right? Now till that time the financial year has already begun, right? So because the financial year or the new financial year begins on 1st of April, right? So almost 1.5 months of the financial year has passed, right? So in order to meet the demands for the 1.5 month, the vote on account is being made, right, where the advance allocation of the budget, that means 2 months out of the total budget, advance allocation is being made for the government to run its operations. That is called as vote on account, right? So these are the 6 stages, right? So in this way we are able to understand that why the parliament is resuming its budget session, because the departmental standing committees have already scrutinized the demands put in the budget, and now they are actually in the process of voting it, right? So therefore the parliament was being closed for a month, and now again it has resumed its operations and it would vote upon the demands, and then the Appropriation Act would be passed and the finance bill would be passed, right? So I hope it is clear. So as it says that union budget is the annual financial statement, and you would be knowing that it is mentioned under Article 112 of the Constitution, correct? So these are the details, right? Now coming to the second news article, government drug stores to sell nutraceuticals. Guys, there is something called as generic drug. Now, generic drugs are different from the branded drugs in a way that they are the same drugs which were previously being marketed by the private companies, and they had their own procedure, their own clinical trials, right? And since their patent has expired, right, that expired patent is being reused by the government so that the poor people gets easy and cheap, less priced medicines and the drugs, right? So I repeat again, generic drugs are basically low priced drugs, and they are the same branded drugs, but the patent of them is being expired, and now they are being reused and resold by the government, right? With the expired patent, right? So therefore the government is able to sell them at a lesser price, right? So the government drug stores which were selling generic drugs, right, under the scheme called as PMBJP. PMBJP is Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. I repeat, it is Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana, and it was launched in the year 2008, right? So we have PMBJP kendras across the country, and recently the government has decided that it would be, selling nutraceutical products also along with the generic drugs, right? And nutraceutical products means protein powder, bar, malt based food supplements, so on and so forth, right? So it was launched in the year 2008, and these are some details, right? I hope it is clear. So about PMBJP, it provides the generic drugs which I explained. It was launched in the year 2008, as I said, and the Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Bureau of India is the implementation agency, right? Now you also have a mobile application, guys, in the name of Jan Aushadhi Sugam, which facilitates the PMBJP policy, right? And the medicines are being procured from WHO Good Manufacturing Practices certified suppliers, right? Very important. So only the WHO GM certified suppliers actually sell the medicines are being procured from WHO GMP certified suppliers, correct? So if I talk about the generic drug, as I mentioned, that it is a medication that has exactly the same API. API is the active pharmaceutical ingredient, right? The contents the chemical compounds which are being used in any drug are called as active pharmaceutical ingredient, API, right? So it has the same API as the private company, right? The only difference is that the patent of the drug has expired, right? So it can be only marketed, that means the generic drugs can only be marketed after the brand name drug's patent has expired, correct? So it do not need to contain the same inactive ingredients, right? So that means the active ingredients are same. Guys, there is a difference between the active ingredient and inactive ingredient. As far as the chemical compounds are concerned, they are called as APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients, and inactive ingredients. So active APIs would be same, right? So chemical compounds, there would be no difference between the branded drug and the generic drug as far as the chemical compounds are concerned or APIs are concerned. I hope I'm making sense, right? As far as the active pharmaceutical ingredients or the chemical compounds are concerned, they are same with that of the branded drugs, or generic drugs are same like the branded drugs as far as API is concerned. Now the difference is in the inactive ingredients, right? Now inactive ingredients include the characteristics like color, flavor, manufacturing process, right, formulation, excipients, taste, packaging, right? They may be different, right? So as far as the inactive ingredients are concerned, they may be different for the generic drugs and the branded drugs, right? However, the chemical compounds are same, right? So when the chemical compounds are same, there is no difference in the efficacy or the therapeutical use of the branded drugs and the generic drugs, right? So their chemical compounds are same, their chemical qualities are same, characteristics are same, therefore their efficiency is also same, right? But they are being less priced. Why? Because their patent is being expired, right? As you can see, however, generic drug can only be marketed after the brand name drug's patent has expired, right? See guys, generally the private companies use the patent, right, in order to put the their own patent over the methods that they use in manufacturing any drug, the process, the ingredients that they use, right? Once the patent is being expired, it can be sold in a lesser price, right? However, the efficacy is same, right? So generic drugs are less expensive because the drug manufacturer does not have to duplicate the original clinical trials, right? Because the branded company, for example Cipla, etc., Ranbaxy, they have invested a huge amount in the original clinical trials, right? Now the government here won't be actually repeating the original clinical trials which have already been done, right? It is just that their patent has been expired and now they are being used by the government company, and they are able to sell it in a lesser price to the market, especially to the poor people, right? So I hope it is clear. It's a very important concept, guys, and I expect a question on this. Coming to the next news article. As you can see on the screen, there was an missile which was being accidentally fired by India and it landed in Pakistan, right? It landed in Pakistan, right? And Indian government is saying that it is accidental fire, it is a malfunction, but it is a very serious issue because a missile being misfired is something which is a very sensitive and a concern of security, right? So Pakistan has raised its objection against such accidents, and Pakistan is saying that a joint probe must be constituted to investigate into the issue, right? So Pakistan is demanding a joint probe to accurately establish the facts surrounding the accidental fire of the missile, right? So this is how the missile was fired, was launched from India, as they say, allegedly, apparently accidentally launched, and they traveled 124 kilometers inside the territory of Pakistan and exploded there, right? So that was the impact point, 124 kilometers inside its boundary, right? So that is a very serious concern, right? Guys, India is saying that it is a technical malfunction which led to the accidental firing, but Pakistan is actually pulling this issue into the international forums and is demanding a joint probe into such incidents, right? Guys, now do India and Pakistan have to inform each other about such tests? Yes. For any test which is being conducted on either of the country's soil, it has to be informed by both the India and Pakistan, right? Under a pre-notification of flight testing of ballistic missiles agreement, right? So this is a agreement, pre-notification of flight testing. That means notifying the country prior to the testing of the flight, right? So pre-notification of flight testing of ballistic missiles agreement, and it was signed in the year 2005, right? Now each country must provide the other an advance notification of flight test it intends to take for any land or sea launch, right? It is for surface to surface ballistic missiles, right? Guys, before the test, the country must issue something called as NOTAM or Navaria, right? So the country must issue NOTAM. NOTAM is notice to air missions, right? That means for any air missiles to be launched, it has to be notified by the country which is launching the missile to the other country, right? In our case, Pakistan. Similarly, if any missile is to be launched from a naval warship, it has to be informed to the other country by under navigational warning system or NAVARIA to alert the aviation pilots and the seafarers, right? Guys, as far as this agreement is concerned, the launch site is not within 40 kilometers, should not be within 40 kilometers, right? From the international boundary, it should not be within 40 kilometers, and the planned impact area means where the missile is going to explode, it should not be within 75 kilometers of either the international boundary or the line of control, right? For example, if this is the international boundary, then the impact area should be 75 kilometers. Let's say it is Pakistan and it is India. The impact area should be 75 kilometers from both India and Pakistan, right? Plus the launch site should not be within 40 kilometers, right? So I hope it is clear. So this is a agreement, pre-notification flight testing of ballistic missiles agreement of 2005, and you have two policies, NOTAM and NAVARIA, right? I hope it is clear. So NOTAM is notice containing information essential to personnel concerned with flight operations, right? And similarly, you have NAVARIA. NAVARIA is navigational warning information which ocean going marine requires for their safe navigation, right? I hope it is clear. Coming to the editorials. So guys, there was one important editorial in the Hindu, and it relates to our topic on the accidental missile launch by Indian government, and this is how it says that the Pakistani government has asked for joint probe, and even India has declared a high level court of inquiry, right? Because it is a very serious technical lapse, and there is a fear because we both are, I mean, India and Pakistan are nuclearized countries, so therefore there is a fear of nuclear escalation. And as far as the Pakistan is concerned, they say that the missile was traveling 3 times the speed of sound, right? 3 times the speed of sound means 3 Mach, right? And in that sense, it is being apparently felt that it would be a BrahMos missile. It was a surface to surface missile, and therefore there is a speculation that the accident involves the BrahMos missile, right? And you all know that BrahMos is a supersonic missile. So although India became a member of Mtcr or Missile Technology Control regime in the year 2016, and right, so this issue is all about the same, and we'll be understanding some important facts about the same, right? So this is the accidental firing and the issue with regard to same. So guys, in order to understand this, we must understand multilateral export control regimes, MECRs. Very important. Now, multilateral export control regimes control the transfer of the weapons of mass destruction between the countries, right? Guys, weapons of mass destruction or WMDs include the nuclear weapons, the chemical weapons, biological weapons, radiological weapons, right? So WMDs are the weapons of mass destruction, and any trade, any transaction in those weapons have to be regulated, have to be controlled, right? To actually, augment and promote disarmament. And this is called as MECR, Multilateral Export Control Regime, right? Very important. It is voluntary and non-binding. That is, it is not binding, right, on the countries who are the members of MECR, right? It prevents and regulates the transfer of certain military and dual-use technology, right? Guys, military and dual-use technology means those technology which is being used for peaceful as well as military purpose. right? That means those things which are being used for those equipments which are being used for peaceful as well as military purpose are called as dual use technologies, right? So in this sense, it prevents, it controls, it regulates the transfer of certain military and dual use technology, and it, in this sense, it aims to prevent the proliferation of WMDs or weapons of mass destruction. They are completely independent of United Nations, and they are voluntary and non-binding. This is something which is very, very important, right? Guys, India is a member of 3 out of 4 MECRs. MECRs are multilateral export control regimes, right? So except the NSG, India, we are the member of the 3 MECRs, right? So these are the 4 MECRs or multilateral export control regimes. First is Nuclear Supplier Group, NSG. So those countries which are the signatories of NPT or Non-Proliferation Treaty are called as NSG or Nuclear Supplier Group. You all know that NPT was signed in the year 1970, right? And India did its first nuclear test in the year 1974. First nuclear test by India. So therefore, India is not a signatory of NPT, and India do not want to be a signatory of NPT. Why? Because of the reason that it believes that it is a very discriminatory treaty. Those countries which have already tested the nuclear weapons before 1970, like America, UK, etc., are the signatories of NPT, right? So India is not a part of NSG, but India do want to become the part of NSG because of its peaceful track record. India is part of Australia Group. Australia Group talks about the control of chemical and biological technology that could be weaponized, right? Similarly, India is the member of Mtcr, Missile Technology Control Regime, for the control of rockets and other unmanned aerial vehicles, UAV, capable of delivering weapons of mass destruction. India is also a member of Wassenaar Arrangement on export controls for conventional arms and dual use goods and technologies, right? So as I said that India is the member of Australia Group, Mtcr, as well as Wassenaar Arrangement. It is not yet the member of NSG, right? Now, if I talk about the years when India became the member of these MECRs, so in the sequential order, starting from 2016, 2017 and 2018. So in 2016, India became the member of Mtcr, Missile Technology Control Regime. In the next year, that is 2017, India became member of Wassenaar Arrangement. In 2018, India became a part of Australia Group, right? So the mnemonic is MWA, right? 2016, 17, 18, right? So please remember this mnemonic, guys. They may ask you the question with regard to India becoming the member of the 3 MECRs or multilateral export control regimes. 2016, India became a member of Mtcr, 17, WA, Wassenaar Arrangement, and 2018, India became the member of Australia Group, right? So MWA. I hope it is clear. So in this sense, Australia Group, as I said, actually, bans or prevents any transaction in the chemical and biological weapons. It was just formed after the Iran-Iraq war of 1980-1985, when Iraq actually, used the chemical weapons during this war, and in this sense, it came into being in the year 1985. Guys, we a few days back, 2 days back, we learned about the Chemical Weapons Convention, CWC, of 1997, right? So Australia Group has a list of more compounds, that is 54 compounds that are identified, and there are more number of items which are being banned, which are being prevented under Australia Group as compared to Chemical Weapons Convention. Very important, right? As of today, there are 43 members, including the European Union, right? And they have their annual meeting in Paris, France. Very important, India joined this in the year 2018, as we discussed, right? Coming to MTCR, guys, MTCR control is your missile technology control regime. It actually, regulates the proliferation of missiles and missile technology, and it was founded in the year 1987. However, India became its member in, tell me, 2016, as we discussed. And earlier in its inception, it was to check the spread of unmanned delivery systems capable of carrying nuclear weapons. Now here is the catch: capable of carrying nuclear weapons above 500 kg for more than 300 kilometers, right? So those unmanned aerial vehicles or the rockets or the missiles which has the capacity of carrying nuclear weapons above 500 kg weight and more than 300 kilometer of range would be regulated under MTCR, right? So this is something which is very, very important. In 1992, it was extended for all types of weapons of mass destruction. All types of WMD means chemical weapon, biological weapon, radiological weapon, nuclear weapon, so on and so forth, right? So it seeks to limit the risks of proliferation of weapons of mass destruction by controlling export of goods and technologies that could make a contribution to delivery systems, right? So it is not a treaty. Why? Because it is not binding, right? Although India is a member, but it is not binding. It does not impose any legally binding obligations, right? India was inducted in MTCR in the year 2016, and very important, China is not still the member, is not a member of MTCR. However, it is the member of NSG, Nuclear Supplier Group. And China has blocked India's petition to become the member of NSG, right? But India, since India is the member of 3 out of 4 MECRs, right, multilateral export control regimes. India is a member of Australia Group, Wassenaar Arrangement and MTCR. So therefore, we have a strong claim to become the member of NSG, Nuclear Supplier Group, right? India became a full member of MTCR in the year 2016 and also agreed to join the Hague Code of Conduct, right? And which we have already joined. And guys, under MTCR, we are able to procure various missiles like a theater missile interceptor from Israel, also called as Arrow 2nd. So they may ask you this question. So Arrow 2nd is a missile technology which we procured from Israel. Similarly, military drones were being procured from America, called as Avenger. So China is not a member of this regime, and it has and as I said that the efforts of non-proliferation had further been strengthened by the International Code of Conduct Against Ballistic Missile Proliferation, also called as HCOC or Hague Code of Conduct, of which India is also a member right now. Hague Code of Conduct. Guys, it has been, MTCR has been successful. There are various achievements of MTCR. For example, Argentina recently dropped its joint ballistic missile program called as Condor 2nd with Egypt and Iraq. Very important. Argentina dropped its joint ballistic missiles program called as Condor 2nd with Egypt and Iraq, right? Because of it being the member of MTCR. Similarly, recently MTCR played a very important role to hamper Libyan and Syrian missile efforts, right? Missile efforts in Libya and Syria. So guys, in this sense, MTCR is actually a regulating agency. Although it is not a binding agency, it is not a treaty, it does not impose legal obligations, but it do regulate the things, right? Now there are limitations on MTCR. First is definitely it is not a legal binding treaty, hence no punitive measures could be taken against non-compliance, right? Now guys, there are many countries like North Korea, Pakistan, Iran, which all are they all are nuclear states, and they are not the signatories of MTCR. And here Iran is definitely a signatory of NPT, but still it runs a secret nuclear operation. And post the withdrawal of America from JCPOA, Iran has expanded its nuclear operations, right? Pakistan is not the member of NPT. Similarly, North Korea is not the member of NPT, not a signatory of NPT, right? And they are also not the signatories of Mtcr, right? So there is always a risk. Guys, this has been misused by America also to serve its purpose. It has banned some rules to give concessions to some non-member countries. For example, Ukraine, where the recent Russian invasion is undergoing, was allowed to retain its Scud missiles. Scud missiles were being allowed to retain by America in Ukraine, irrespective of the rule of destroying ballistic missiles. Correct. So in this sense, America is bending the Mtcr rules, and it is giving exceptions to various countries and giving a preferential treatment. Right. So in this sense, if I talk about the Wassenaar arrangement, it also, prevents the proliferation of the WMDs, or the weapons of mass destruction, and it was basically formed after the end of Cold War in the year 1996. And the members, that are 42 members, exchange the information of transfers of conventional weapons. Conventional weapons means missiles technologies, and the dual use goods and technology. Dual use means those technologies which can be used for peaceful as well as military purposes, right? So dual use refers to the ability of a good or technology to be used for multiple purposes, usually peaceful and military, right? So it is a successor to the Coordinating Committee for Multilateral Export Control, COCOM capabilities. As rightly so, we procured Arrow 2nd missile from Israel, Avenger drones from America, right? We are also selling BrahMos to Vietnam as well as Indonesia. You all know that China is expanding its assertions in the South China Sea, and therefore many Southeast Asian nations like Vietnam and Indonesia are procuring BrahMos missiles from India, and India can do it very easily because India is a member of Wassenaar arrangement and Mtcr, right? So guys, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the session. Wish you all the best. See you in the next class with more interesting news articles. Good day. Goodbye.